what exactly is like one actionable tip, whether you take or something that you're trying to implement that kind of helped you take to that next level?
There's going to be multiple things, but I'm going to try to jump into one.
All right, guys. So welcome back to the channel. And today we are welcomed by one of our virtual traders here at SFT. I actually went through her statistics, and there's a lot of different interesting parts that we're going to get into. But everyone, I want to go ahead and welcome one of our traders, Trina.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. All right. So Trina, let's get into it, right? So before we get into like all the whole firms and the evaluations and obviously your results, because obviously you had a payout with us, I want to kind of just go ahead and start with your journey, right? How did you even learn about trading? How did that transition from, learning about the markets to actually achieving a payout? Where did that journey all start?
Well, it all started, technically speaking, my freshman year of college, fall 2019. I was a bio major, and I had my lab partner. She said something on the lines of, I work from home and I make $100 a day. And I was intrigued. I'm like, firstly, is it legal?
Yeah.
And then secondly, that's all she said. It was very vague. And then we didn't all forecast what was going to happen 2020. A couple months later, the pandemic happened. C-19 came, and she reached out to me May. She was like, hey, Trina, remember what I told you when we were in school in biolab? Yeah, I actually am a trader in you already know what it is,
Yeah.
IML.
IML, like everyone's story.
Everyone's story, that's how, yeah, anyway. So she recruited me in IML. I didn't really know that much about it. Basically, they were mostly focusing on recruiting rather than trading, and it was like, oh, we're gonna give you the cheat code. We're gonna send signals and you trade from that way. And it was okay when I joined IML. I was only in it for 1 month though, because my twin sister kept on telling me to leave, and I did in August. And but I wanted to learn the skill of trading because I knew there were real traders out there. I knew it was possible. I just had to put in the time and effort. So I remember specifically June 15th, 2020, I made like my Hugo's Away broker account, and we did that. It was hell. Yeah. Every day on Zoom, like watching people in like our upline in our group mostly talk about like structure, but it was mostly talking about recruiting, which I didn't like. She tried to pressure me into recruiting, but I wasn't having it. I left, and afterwards, my best friend joined IML. Me and my sister convinced him to leave. And then this influencer, her name was Lavish Ruby. She had like a course, like a Forex course, and my sister paid for it, but I did all the work because my sister, anyways, she's not as determined as I am. So I did all the work. I passed her course, and I got in her Discord, and I was learning like a little bit more. So my knowledge of trading was getting better. And after that, I finished a course. Me and my best friend decided to trade individually by ourselves. September 2020, we traded NAS. When I started trading, I was trading GU, UJ, and I believe Euro USD. But my best friend was like, let's trade NAS. I'm like, okay, jumping in the water. And then we did that for a while until I think January 2021. News was just skyrocketing NAS at that time because of the pandemic and everything happening. So we really didn't know what we were doing, if I'm being quite honest. I would say it was gambling.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold you.
Yeah.
It was gambling.
I mean, we all start there, right?
Yeah. And then we kept on telling to each other, the market cannot change our situation right now. We kept on utilizing the market as like a get rich quick thing, and we needed to see it as a business and do other things that would get us income. So trading would be a side hustle. We would grow. Yeah. It's like a exponential thing. It's not linear. So we try to tell ourselves that so many times. We quit, got back, and then I dropped out of school 2020. Well, not dropped out, but I took a break. I went back last year and simultaneously, I was doing school. I had a job, my internship, and the days I did not have classes, me and my best friend would wake up early in the morning, meet up at the gym like 6, 7 a.m. We would take the bus to the nearest library and we would trade at 9:30 stock exchange. This was like a repeated thing we did. Yeah. And because he wanted us to do this for a while since we started trading together in September 2020. But we did that. And then we stopped, I think, this year, February, because, again, we just wanted more sources of income. We can't keep on relying on trading to help us, get money.
Yeah.
I did have sources of income. I was in school. I had my job that I quit, and I had my internship. And he wanted to get his a job. So, because trading, it'll take time for you to master. And you really need to have something else you're doing, because you're going to rely on the charts too much, and your emotions going to come into play. And it's just a sticky situation that you're doing, relying on the markets heavily when you don't have anything else going on. Yeah. To put it abruptly, you need to do something else. Yeah. And I had school, I had my internships, and then February I started a prop firm journey.
Also fairly recent, yeah.
Yeah, fairly recently. Can I name the other prop or no?
Yeah, of course.
TFT. I started. No, it was FTM online. It was FTMO. I traded NAS, and then I didn't know what lots to use, and I mistakenly I entered a gold trade. A lot of money I lost, $800. It was a $50K account.
Yeah.
And then I traded. My emotions were out of whack too. And I traded NAS because I knew it was gonna go down. It was gonna go down eventually, but overall it was an upwards trend. And I kept on selling, and it was not going down. So breached that account. Took a break. Demo traded for a while, and then I got back on it. I would say, April. I bought three TFT different accounts, 25K, 5K, and I think 10K account. Filled all those too. But the thing is, I was learning from my mistakes, because this year, my third year of trading overall, I decided to start a journal, and I've been writing my wrongs and my rights, holding myself accountable. So I would have what I did good, what I did bad, what I need to work on, and homework. It's a thing me and my best friend came up with. And I'm like, let's journal. He was like, yeah. And then he came up with the categories. And you need to hold yourself accountable in trading. If you're not doing that, you're not going to grow. Yeah. If you're not learning from your mistakes, you're not going to grow. I realized, looking back at my past trades, back testing, and what I learned, what I wrote in my journal, I'm actually getting near break even. I wasn't breaching the accounts anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. But strategy wise, I was just using support and resistance. Yeah. And pure market structure. And then me and my best friend would look at YouTube videos. This year, a lot of people popped up for me. Mamba FX. And then the Trading Geek. And then we stumbled on Forex. He was teaching ICT strategy, supply and demand, fair value gap / imbalance. We watched that video religiously. We back tested. This is what I use when I demo traded before I wanted to go on props, and I hit my goal when I was demo trading with that strategy. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like this, but after I demo traded, I bought the props. And then I was getting to break even, so I was doing something right. Yeah. But not there. What else happened? Oh, okay. So Aaliyah, coincidentally, your social media person you guys have, I found her YouTube channel earlier this year, and she has a Telegram group. I joined that. And I met a whole bunch of traders, including her. And this guy, he kept on harassing me about buying another influencer's course. He goes by Zelensky Trade.
Yeah.
FX, that's his name. Hey, Trevor, if you're watching this, Trevon. If you're watching this. But he put me on Q Banks's course.
Yeah.
And with that strategy, honestly, quite frankly, it's pretty similar to like ICT. It's like you're getting the ultimate, like the same goal.
Yeah.
Going on the higher time frame and then using a lower time frame to enter and hit your TP.
Yeah.
So he put me on that course, and I think that changed. I would say it changed the trajectory of me like passing the prop. Because I was looking at the higher charts because of Q Banks and ICT, the strategy Forex had in his video. I was looking at higher charts. I wasn't looking at the 1 hour because that was the highest chart I would look at maximum. But I was looking at 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly, and I would base my structure on that.
Yeah.
And then see what it's doing overall on the monthly, weekly. Go on daily in a 4 hour, do my analysis, and enter in a 1 minute. And because of that, because I was taking these setups, quite frankly, that don't happen like every week, probably like once or twice a month. And I was passing, like in June, I passed you guys' NTFT's 50K account.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because I was looking at the higher time frame, I was waiting on the right setups, and I was patient. Then I passed phase 2 in August. It took me like 1 month to pass each phase. And then September, I got my first payout. And October, I got my second payout.
Yeah.
Third payout pending.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to happen, but that's pretty much it with my like trading journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope that wasn't too confusing.
No, like that was pretty straightforward. And it's like obviously we've done these podcasts and we've spoken to many traders as well. And it seems like everyone has a very similar journey, whether they got in through IML, whether they got in through like one of the lifestyle influencers, right? Or flexing the Lambos.
Yeah.
They all got in through some sort of method. And then that's really when the journey begins, right? Where they're kind of intrigued by the idea of like, okay, I can make money from home. I can just kind of trade on my phone, especially now with kind of how trading is. It's kind of like everyone's glorifying, MT4, MT5 on their phones and just trading. But what's interesting, so you obviously started like early on before props were actually very popular. So like you went through the same route I went, where we deposited money with Hugo's Way and kind of had to do that route, right?
Yeah.
And obviously like people back then, especially because if someone's getting into trading in the last year or two and they came across props, they don't understand how it used to really be.
Yeah.
And trying to deposit, let's just say $100, $500 into an account and trying to go for that flip versus like the opportunity now that like the firms offer where it's like, hey, for a 50K account, you could just pay $300 versus depositing that into a broker, right?
Right, yeah.
So like two questions. So number one, has like the whole prop model, right? The evaluation firm model, has that kind of helped you in terms of, okay, it actually allowed you now to kind of trade in a better way because you know that, okay, I can have this, 50K virtual account and I can actually make a couple $1,000s versus if I put $300 on Hugo's Way, if I try to hold a specific trade, I only might make $50, $60. So has that kind of like helped you in your journey psychologically?
Yeah.
And has it kind of do you also see like, hey, without the evaluations, you know what, maybe I'll still kind of be just putting money into an account, maybe blowing it because the lump sum is like a little bit too small and I can't really make much, so I kind of have to over leverage. Like, has that also helped you in that regard?
Yes, absolutely. If it was not for props, I would have been going down a really dark path when it came to trading. This year I started utilizing stop loss, which is bad.
Like, 4 years in right now.
3.5.
3.5.
Me and my best friend, we would go ham and no stop loss, and we were trading nods. We were trying to flip a $25, $50 $50 account into whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, if it was not for props, I think I wouldn't have been more like strict with myself and more patient. Like props forces you to do that. It forces you to be patient. It forces you to not be too risky, because if you are, you're going to blow the account, versus like regular personal profits, deposits. There's no really rule. You set the rules. And with me and my best friend, even though what we were doing was really bad, he was the more riskier one out of two of us. Like, I would say, let's use stop loss, let's not enter. And he would be like, no, Trina, let's go. But like, because of props, I mentally, it's less taxing as personal funds. With personal funds, trying to grow a $25-50 account, I don't think it's sustainable in the long run. Obviously, there are outliers, people who made it with personal accounts who flipped it to $1 million, but majority of traders, that's not the case, if I'm being quite honest. Because of the psychology factor, because there's no rules, you can set your own rules, and people usually leverage way more. I was doing that using a 0.1 on only a $25 account, which is horrible, with no stop loss. And the thing is, we were using CPI especially to like gamble and like exponentially grow our accounts. Bad. Like, I don't recommend anyone doing that. That's not the best thing to do if you're trying to grow a personal account. But because of props, it made me more stable mentally. It's a little bit more realistic than trying to grow a personal account, because trading, it's something that's exponential that we try to make linear because the market is so unpredictable at times. We're not magicians. We can't predict what it's going to do, but we're trying to make it as linear as we can, which will be impossible, but to the best of our abilities, trying to make as much money consistently over consistent profits for a long time. I think that's the ultimate goal. And with the help of prop firms, it can definitely build a trader's confidence and mentality, and help them in general, like, be way more strict and lenient in what they're doing in the market.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I think, like, speaking with obviously like a lot of people, even like people who are doing multiple six figures, I don't know if you know Kyle, I always reference him.
Yes.
Yeah. But like for him, for example, we always talk about it. Like, if it wasn't for the evaluation firms and if it wasn't for this type of business model, we wouldn't have gotten our start, because we kind of made our money from the, FTMO. He obviously has like multiple firms that he was essentially getting payouts from. And then that trajectory allowed him, Paladin, and myself to kind of get to that point where it's like, all right, cool. Versus back then, it was the same methodology, right? I think everyone had adopted that account flip because obviously higher leverage in Forex. IML, I think, also was a little bit responsible for that, because anyone who was in IML, even on the trading side, it was like kind of like the Wild West in the Telegram groups. Everyone's full margining. One guy's flipping his account 5 times. 5 people just blew their account. It was really just the Wild West. And the evaluation firms, for whatever people want to say, the parameters allow people to kind of, okay, you know what, I have to understand risk management. I have to understand, hey, if I have this amount that I can lose, you know what, per day, and obviously overall for the account, I have to now kind of think about my risk management strategy, which 90+% of traders probably don't even have, and yeah, it's essentially just a tool I think for people to help, their growth. Everyone says the same thing. There's obviously going to be people who kind of hate on the model for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, it does offer people who have the skill set to extract decent profits, because you're not going to put $100 into an account, and have this major flip. But you could buy a potential challenge account. If you actually pass, now you can actually extract a couple $1,000s a month, which is like massive for most people. So going into like your journey, right? One thing that was very interesting when I looked at the accounts was you actually did not breach any accounts with SFT, which is like pretty good, because everyone who's received the payout from us, they usually have at least one breached account. There's probably a handful of people that I've seen that didn't breach before getting the actual account. So like, is your style of trading, because I know, like you said, you're pretty much looking for maybe like those higher time frame moves. Are you a lot more patient because of that? And is your style a lot more conservative?
Yes. I'm really patient. very patient. I didn't breach y'all's account, but I definitely breached TFT's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But because you guys started in June, I wanted to support you guys. You guys was from New York, you
Yeah.
and Paladin,
Appreciate that.
and no problem, fellow New York, fellow Queens people. Feel me? Anyways, I wanted to support you, and because you guys started in June, because if you guys were open and ready before June, I probably would have breached it because I was trading you guys in TFT simultaneously. Well, not simultaneously, but similar times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't breached anything on SFT because I forced myself to be patient based off what the higher time frames is telling me. Because of my mechanical way of trading, I watch the charts, I watch the market, but I'm not entering. If there's no confluence or confirmations to tell me to enter,
Yeah.
I'm not about to enter. Simple as that. And I'm not losing any money, which is good for me because I could trade another day, you know?
Exactly. And yeah, I think so you were around also before the unlimited trading days, right?
Yes.
Was it pretty difficult during those times when you had 30 days to pass? Because I know like most people who look for the higher time frame move or are swing traders, they really struggled during that time when there was only 30 days, or like when you came in, it was kind of like the standard unlimited trading days.
Was it difficult for me? A little bit because like I had to rush to pass it, but with time I knew the right setup would happen, and I just had to be patient. Worst comes to the worst, I'm up a little bit past 50K or the starting amount, and I just get a retry with a new account. So I didn't think that much of it because I knew I was going to be up. I probably wouldn't have passed, but I would have been up and I would have gotten a new account to retry.
The reset,
so.
yeah. All right, cool. And so obviously with your journey, right, you started and you said like you were in college when you were going through that whole ordeal, right? For me, like I kind of learned about trading towards like the end, like when I already dropped out because I was trying to find alternatives. But for you, when you were kind of going through college, right, obviously going through classes and all that, and then obviously having exams, how was that like trying to balance trading and also going to school, going to class? Because a lot of people that we've met, especially like in the UK where they have uni, like Forex is really big over there. And a lot of people are trying to balance school and trying to balance trading. And obviously with the emotional toll of trading, like if you have a bad week, bad day, you blow your account, that can kind of fester into like your real life.
Yeah.
So how are you able to manage going to school and trading as well?
Well, like coincidentally, when I started trading, it was 2020 and the pandemic happened. And then like that semester, like I took a break because everything was just too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't go back to school until last year. So I had a little bit of a gap to trade with my best friend for a long time. But when I started back school last year, we were going to the gym every day. But that was kind of challenging because I had morning classes. But the days I didn't have classes, which were like Fridays, I would trade that day. The days where like I didn't have to go to classes, I would utilize that, go in and trade. And when I was working specifically at my job, my part-time job I worked at for 2 years, I worked weekends. And my internship was online, asynchronous, so that helped a little bit. So I got lucky a little bit because like my internship was online, my job, I changed it to weekends and school. I'm really studious, and I usually do work beforehand because I had a job and stuff. So I could focus my time more on trading. So because of that, I was like well coordinated and balanced. Mm-hmm. All those things I did helped me focus way more on trading. And the one thing I really wanted to do was quit my job for sure.
Yeah. And
I had something to fall back on because I had my internship at the time. So it wasn't too hard for me to balance, if I'm being quite honest, mm-hmm. because a big gap was I wasn't in school, and when I did go back to school, I would balance everything out, and I had like other things to fall back on.
So you're still in school now?
Yes, I'm a business major.
Oh, okay. So you switched from like the bio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. So you planning on finishing school?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm planning on finishing. Hopefully I graduate 2025.
Okay, got it.
And then by then I would like to be a full-time trader. But I also want to do my master's because knowing me, I can't do one thing. I cannot be constant. I need to do multiple things at once. In high school, I can't even tell you how many extracurriculars I was doing, but that's off camera.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know that I want to like be like a YouTuber or influencer. I want to be a trader, a businesswoman, hence my major, and I want to be a trader. But I also want to do my master's, and the program probably will be online.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my goal.
No, that's great. And circling into like what you were saying about like kind of being online, being in like the influencer space, right? I want to touch on that because obviously this industry is kind of like male dominated, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot like, but now I feel like we're starting to see a lot more women traders coming to the scene. Obviously Tori, Aaliyah, obviously we have her at SFT. So like, what does it mean to like? First of all, what's your kind of your thoughts overall on like women getting into trading, and not only that, but like trying to take that next step as well, because obviously in terms of for the most part, right, it really is male oriented, and like the industry from the perspective of like online influencers is also pretty much like a lot of males. But what do you think in terms of like, having a lot more women come into the scene and kind of like your thoughts, like how it might change in the next, couple of years?
I would like more women representation. Aaliyah, Tori, I can go on. Anna from TFT.
Yeah.
Seeing more female influencers, especially, we'll just have people like me who want to like show myself out there. I'm active in Discord on Twitter because I see more women traders doing it, because I don't remember the percentage, but it's like 97% male dominated.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see women dominating such an industry where we're not that represented. And it just shows that like anyone can do anything, really. It don't really matter like what you are, who you are. Put your mind to it, you can do it. First, you're gonna have to sacrifice time, probably your social life.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even have one in the first place.
Yeah.
But it just proves that like anyone can do anything, and I really want to see more influx of female traders, and I actually want to start like my like influencer like trading journey.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk off camera about that specifically, like little tips and tricks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so one thing I want to circle back to is like in terms of trading, right? Like you said in the beginning, you had all these psychological demons, you had all these like different things that you kind of had to battle with. But now getting that payout and getting multiple payouts from like other firms that you were saying as well was very interesting. That actually makes you like one of, because I don't know if you know the statistics of people that actually reach the payout, not just past the evaluations, but to get to a payout, it's like I think around 1%. Obviously, every firm is going to vary, but industry standard is about 1%, maybe even less than that. So like for you to achieve that after, and especially without breaching any account, I know like with TFT you said you breached one, but with SFT, like there hasn't been any breached accounts. Like knock on wood, right? I don't want to jinx you, but exactly. But like how has that transition psychologically been, right? From when you first originally started, where you were kind of like, not using stop losses, kind of just like, full margining, to like now where, you've maintained accounts, you've received 2 payouts pending 3. So how has that kind of transition been psychologically? Like, did you do anything differently, or was it just kind of like you maturing?
A little bit of both. Me maturing, I'm getting older. I'm not 19 no more. I'm 22. And
That's still young. Still pretty young.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But also, I think the biggest thing was patience, because when I was trading with my best friend, personal account, we would trade maximum 3 times from 9:30 to 11:30. We were just strictly scalpers. Now I'm an intraday into like swing, because I hold my trades like multiple days. I wouldn't consider myself like too swing, because I don't hold it for like weeks and months.
Yeah.
But I do hold it for a little bit. And I think just me being patient, and if I do not see a setup, I will not enter. I think that's the biggest thing I worked on this year, which I'm proud of myself, because the like exponential growth I did from February to like now was crazy. Because literally February, I forgot the date, but it was probably the second week in February, CPI, like I grew Like I think it was $50 or $100. It was like 520, and then I like lost like probably $120 in that. While my best friend, he blew his whole account. this story, like we blew so many accounts. I'm surprised like I only like blew like 1K worth of my own money in my personal account. But anyways, I digress. The biggest thing was patience, because we was like 9:30. If it's going up, buy, which is horrible because barely
just
any
chasing
confidence.
price. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm patient. I'm lenient with myself. I'm strict with myself because of that. Because I need to, because I'm trying to keep these accounts for a long time. Like, the mental space when you're funded versus when you're in the challenges phase is completely different.
Yeah.
And aren't the statistics even lower when you're funded? Like after like you pass phase 2, like people who get the first payout, it's like significantly lower than people who.
Yeah, like only out of the people that. So again, every firm is gonna vary.
Yeah.
But like once, for the industry standard, right? Once someone passes, let's just say phase 2, and then they get to that that final stage when they can receive payouts, typically that drop off only like about 20-25% pass from that group, maybe even less depending on the firm. So it really, yeah, because the thing is every firm has different like types of traders. There's a different trader profile. Some firms might have better traders than other firms for whatever reason. Like I would assume FTMO would have better traders than firms like like ourselves, because
Yeah.
FTMO has been around for 8 years. So yeah, so like that's why it's like a very impressive thing that people when they get to that payout point, because it's a very, very small percentage.
Yep.
Yeah. So now, like, what are your goals now? Obviously you said you want to kind of grow the following as well, but in terms of like trading, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of like next for you? Because obviously it feels like you're kind of finding your stride, and I feel like every trader, they always have kind of that breakthrough moment where it's like, all right, I've accomplished things and I've done it like pretty consistently. Like the fact that you've kind of had the account since June and we're in November going into December, that's almost 6 months now, right? Which is very impressive, because most people don't hold the accounts even from like, as soon as they get from the evaluation to that. And I think only one other person with us has held an account. I think it was like for about 100 days, which, yeah, no, he's receiving his 4th payout. He already hit the scaling plan. But yeah, so what are your goals kind of in terms of like trading wise? Do you want to, start to maybe add a little bit more size, or just keep doing what you're doing and then slowly make that progression maybe to that next account size, or maybe just increasing your lot size? Like what's the next like transition for you?
Oh yeah, I already started. So my first payout with you guys, it was 134. I don't know how I remember.
Yeah, like to the dot. Yeah.
I don't remember decimals, but with TFT it was like 773 something amongst those lines.
Yeah.
And majority of the profits, I still live with my parents, so I don't pay rent, but I like paid off like credit card bill, and then the rest I like bought like little treats for myself.
Yeah.
Hair products, skin products, and then I bought like 2 50K accounts from each of you guys. And then my other payout I got last month with you guys, it was like,
I think it was like 13 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1.4K.
Yeah.
And then TFT was like 1.2K. I bought like a lot of accounts.
Yeah.
A lot. I bought, I'm not going to list them, but I bought a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like scale my account sizes I have. I'm using the same lot. Nothing is really changing. The only thing is changing is the amount of accounts I have. And when I'm trying to max allocate for you guys in TFT, that's my goal for like under like a year and a half. Under like 3 years, when I'm probably done with my master's, I want to be a full-time like trader.
Mm-hmm.
But my ultimate goal, this will be like 10 years down in the line, I want to like work for a hedge fund. Ooh, excuse me. Coincidentally, my internship I did last summer was like a philanthropy, like mixed in like a hedge fund. Like it was like a hedge fund owner, and then me and the other interns, it was like a philanthropy like branch, like nonprofit, but we would talk about hedge funds.
Yeah.
But the owner, like the person who was like the person in charge, like he told us like he would invest in small businesses. So it was nice to know a little bit about the hedge fund business because of my internship, coincidentally, because it kind of goes within trading.
Yeah.
But long term, that's my goal. Like trade, like private capital, hedge fund owner. I'm trying to work on my P&L and like my trading journey with got an ON account, trying to trade with that, trying to grow it. It's been a struggle because I have to trade currencies again because I trade US30 right now. So I'm going back to what I knew 2020, which was GU, EU. So yeah.
I mean, you could look into futures because, like, with the futures market, you could just trade like the Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P, straight from futures.
Okay.
I'll put you. I'll give you a little bit more info about that like later, but because as soon as you said Owanda and I saw like that you were trading primarily US30 and sometime NAS on like when I was looking through the trade history, so I'm like, oh, okay, like Owanda. I don't know how, because that's a huge transition because FX and like indices. Like they're completely different the way they move. Like indices, in my opinion, move way more. Yeah. So like if you're used to that volatility versus like Forex could be a little bit of a snooze fest. Yeah.
It's been okay.
Yeah. But no, that's great. And I think ultimately too, like everyone when they kind of come into the evaluation firms and they get those payouts, a lot of them do reinvest into more challenges because now they view it as, hey, obviously it's your money, but I can now use this to try and get more accounts and then slowly start to scale, right? Do you ever worry though, like, oh, I have too many accounts, and where it comes to a point where like you might get a little bit distracted? Because some people, when they have multiple accounts that they're trading, they do get a little bit distracted if they're not using a trade copier. So like, do you use any trade copiers, or do you kind of just trade everything individually, or how does that process look?
Manually, no trade copiers. Because I have so much accounts right now, I really don't want to risk, because TFT, they have like guidelines you need to set in place. Since they have like 4 different types of challenges you can purchase, I'm not risking it. I'm just going to stress myself out and manually enter every single account, which is I think 14, not including my personal accounts. So like 14 prop firm challenges I bought, I manually enter them.
Okay.
They're usually, it's not going to be the same lot size account number I enter, obviously, but manually, no trade copier.
Nope. That's pretty impressive. 14 accounts, just all.
So
do you have like multiple phones? How does that work?
I have this phone and my old phone I had before, the other phone I had before this one, but because I traded you guys and TFT like anytime I would enter a trade, because I pass you and TFTs like probably on the same day or like a day after, because you guys probably had another day that I needed to trade. So because of that, I kind of trained myself to enter multiple challenges, like rapid fire. Because of that, I'm slowly getting better, but since I have like 14 accounts now, I'm gonna have to train myself, but that has been okay.
All right, now because again, like that's pretty impressive, because like I can't even imagine trying to open up all those positions.
My sister, she'd be like, Trina, why you do that? You stressing yourself too much. And I'm like, well, she don't know the term, but she was like, can you just do like one? She don't know what the term is. I'm like, a trade copier, I can, but I just don't want to, because I don't want to breach my accounts. So I just have to do it. I trained myself to do it. So
So you were saying also like earlier, like you wanted to also become like a full-time trader, but then even before that, you said like you need to have some sort of like, money coming in, especially as a beginner, because as a beginner, you're just gonna blow your account. Like almost like 99.999% of people blow their account, right? I think Tori, she was like one of the people that said that she never blew an account, which was like very, very extremely rare, right? Like that's a different breed. But ultimately, so when you want to become, like, what do you consider a full-time trader? Because the way I view it, right, I kind of view full-time trading as, because even when you're trading quote-unquote full-time, you're only trading for like maybe 2-3 hours. If you're an intraday trader, if you're a swing trader, you're just checking the charts, waiting for key levels, kind of just holding, right? So like, what do you kind of consider full-time trading? Is it like, hey, trading is going to be my sole source of income? Or is it going to be like, hey, I want to make full-time income with like part-time hours, the way I kind of phrase it?
I think the second option, like it'll be like my main source of income. Because me, I know myself, I cannot stay constant with doing one thing. I'm just a multi type of person, and I would like it for it to be like my main source of income, like what I'm paying taxes mainly for, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Taxes, that's a whole different thing, right? No, but that's great. And ultimately now, right? You've had these accomplishments. Do you ever kind of get a little bit worried that you might get a little complacent? Because some people they tend to like, okay, I've accomplished a few things, and then they kind of get complacent. It happened to me, happened to a bunch of other traders that I've kind of talked to. They get like, okay, you know what? They start to see a little bit kind of over the hill, and then they kind of just
Stagnate.
yeah, they just start like lay flat, and they kind of just, they don't keep trying to push, which is again, it's like a natural human thing. It's
Yeah.
okay, but as long as you keep pushing, like eventually, like, do you ever kind of worry about staying complacent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. I worry if I only do trading, I'll become stagnant and like be really bored. But just it's okay to feel that. Like it's
Yeah.
perfectly normal. But I just want to have other goals in mind, you know. I think that's like the major thing I have. I'm setting really big goals for myself because I know I can accomplish them if I just continue doing what I'm doing. And I'm like really proud of myself because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're super young. You're only what, 22. So like that's how old Paladin is too. So like
Yeah.
it's super young, and like yeah, you guys have such a great opportunity ahead of you because obviously the firms have they can kind of accelerate people's progression. So I wouldn't be shocked next year or so, like going into the new year, you're starting to do even bigger payouts. You're starting to even get more comfortable possibly with the bigger account sizes,
Yeah.
especially with like lower responsibilities at this time, right? So what would your advice kind of be for someone who is still struggling trying to pass an evaluation, right? Not even get to payout, forget the payout for now, but even struggling with the evaluation, because obviously you had your struggles. Everyone has their struggles when they kind of try to pass evaluations, and it's not necessarily indicative of someone being a good trader,
Yeah.
just because obviously the nature of having to perform and having to have these set parameters that you have to achieve, right? And some people, they just might not have the risk tolerance for it.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be for someone who's maybe struggling with the evaluation, that they actually have their system in place, right? They know how to trade somewhat, but it's like they're still struggling with that evaluation process.
I think the first thing is find a strategy that works for you. It could be ICT, it could be support and resistance, and I don't want to go on a tangent, but I'll save that for another conversation. Find a strategy that works for you first and foremost. I think that will be the simplistic thing because mental is way deeper. Finding a strategy, actually knowing what you're seeing in a chart because it could get confusing. That is all surface level. Once you go beyond that, is your psychology you need to work on. Like 80-90% is psychology, and when traders say that, they're not lying. Like I read Trading in a Zone. I know everyone talks about that book, but that book really like not changed my life, but definitely changed my mental capacity when it came to trading. Working on your psychology. It don't even need to be reading the book. If it's not trading at all, if it's demo trading, whatever works for you, work on your psychology. Once you have that and you back tested your strategy many times and it works when the market is trending and you can hit your ultimate target goal once you have those two components. The third component is patience. That is subjective depending on what type of trader you are. If you're a scalper and today you're a swinger, but once you have those three components and you don't want to do like a personal funds account, I would maybe say if you're like at least a year and a half in, 2 years, maybe even 3, go prop and test your skills and hopefully you pass. I would say those are my like tips in like a short-term simplistic type of phrase and saying I'm saying now, even though it took me 3 years. I think that's like the shortened version of my lesson.
Yeah. But to be fair, I think like, like when traders kind of say, oh yeah, I've been trading for 3-4 years, but I feel like most of them, they always take like a 6-month break, 4-month break. So it's like, yeah, 3 years went by, but how many months total? Did someone actively try and like, work on the craft, So no, that's definitely great advice, and it really does come down to the patience, because I know with SFT specifically, and I think we've talked about these stats before online, where it's like, majority of the people that are failing they're failing it within the first 2 weeks, and it just goes to like the last point you brought up, where it's like patience, where I think majority of people, they just don't have the patience to trade the evaluation firms, And I'll say this, like, obviously, as someone who's like, co-founder of the company, it's also like, if someone doesn't have the mental capacity or doesn't have the patience, it's like, listen, you can just fund your own account and then just trade that, because now there's no time constraints, there's no objectives, you could just trade freely, right? There's multiple ways to go about it. So like, if the firm model is not for an individual, there's still like, you can still deposit your own money. It's not like one way fits all. Like, if it just doesn't work for you, but you're a solid trader and you can trade your own capital, that might be the better option. I started trading my own capital as well, like as a separate account, and that was just like, even me personally, like, it's just much easier versus like having to abide by specific rules or kind of wait for specific days for the payouts, just speaking unbiasedly, right? But yeah, so let's wrap things up. So what's one thing that, if you had to chalk it up, one thing to kind of like what took you from, kind of like unprofitable and not being able to pass, right? Just one element. I know you said psychology, but what exactly is like one actionable tip, right? Because people talk about like, oh yeah, you have to work on your psychology, but what's one actionable tip, whether you take or something that you're trying to implement, that kind of helped you take to that next level?
There's going to be multiple things, but I'm going to try to jump into one.
Yeah.
I will
You
say
can do one or two, yeah.
patience and probability. Looking at the markets as a probabilities game and a game of sort of chance. How people who trade at the casino, how they do it, and patience. If you mix those two with like psychology, I think the 3 P's, probability, patience, and psychology, those 3 components for sure.
If you had to chalk it up to like a specific strategy or style of trading, right? Like in terms of technicals, like what would you consider yourself? A market structure trader, a SMC trader? Like,
yeah, I would definitely consider myself a market structure trader. Like right now, I mostly use support and resistance, trend lines, Fibonacci. Sometimes I do use ICT's support, supply, demand, fair value / imbalance.
yeah.
I sometimes use that as extra confluence, but mostly support, resistance, trend lines, etc.
All right. And if you could leave the audience with like any piece of advice or where to follow you, you want to be an influencer, right? So we will plug everything as well in the description. But if you want to like leave with any note, yeah, you could just let the audience know now, whether it's about trading, whether it's where they can find you at. Yeah, you can kind of have like the closing statements.
Okay. I'll do a shameless plug after.
Yeah.
I'll say this, but one thing I've noticed in the trading community online that rubs me the wrong way is people judging people on what type of strategy they use, especially within the ICT community. Because even though I don't primarily trade ICT, I follow a whole bunch of ICT traders. And sometimes I understand what they're doing, sometimes I don't. And I follow a lot of like regular traders who don't use ICT concepts. And I do not understand the discourse saying like ICT is superior. I really don't, because I traded both this year. And I'm like, it's the ultimate objective is relatively the same. Like, I don't understand the discourse. Like, it's similar and nothing is superior than the other. Like, both, as long as both is making you money, that's all that matters. And you don't need to feel pressure to do one or the other. Do whatever works for you. And once you've gotten that, whether it's ICT, simple pure price action, market structure, whatever it is, work on your psychology, because that's deeper waters than the surface level strategies talk. And then after that, your ultimate decision, if you want to use prop firms or personal, that's up to you. But after that, I would say just go for it. And I think that'll be like my closing statements.
Yeah.
Now socials.
The shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Well, hopefully I start my posting on my YouTube channel soon. I'm like the editor, so hopefully have like a video up or something.
Yeah.
And then if you want, you can follow me on like my Instagram. I post like my trades, like my trade setups when I enter. And everything is Trina Capital FX.
Yeah. We'll
And
put
everything.
everything in the description. Are you on Twitter or?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter.
All right, yeah.
Everything, same handle for everything.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta find your Twitter handle because that's we'll blow you up on Twitter.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, it's the same thing. Trina Capital FX
All
on
right.
everything. Same thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, Trina, thanks again for coming out. You know, obviously we appreciate everyone who comes, who tries out SFT, especially because we were obviously relatively new. We're obviously going into 6 months now, so like we're starting to build a little bit more credibility. Obviously, we had the branding behind us, so like there's a little bit of trust there. But yeah, it's always great to connect with traders. And if you guys aren't, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment what kind of style videos you want us to do next. Obviously, the podcast, they do pretty well on the channel, but if there's anything else you guys want to see, let us know, and we'll see you guys in the next video.